इसको आप करोगे ना, then I will play this and then I will start welcome to iExam B. Hello everyone, welcome to iExam B. Today in this session I am going to talk about SEBI the regulator. So many times we have done a lot of discussions about how to prepare for SEBI grade A. We have been answering your queries related to eligibility, the exam pattern, how we are going to help you prepare with a 100 days plan and everything. But what is SEBI? Why you should be preparing for this particular exam? Before getting into any exam, we should always know about the organization. It is very important to understand the role of the organization, what they are doing, how they are structured, how do they function, and when you join SEBI, where will you fit in? So all these questions I am going to answer today, and I hope you will be able to get more clarity as to why you should be joining SEBI and what you will be doing there. So what is SEBI per se? SEBI is the regulator. Okay, it is headquartered, if I talk about the factual information, it is headquartered at Mumbai. So the largest office is in Mumbai. They do have presence in some other state capitals, but yes, the biggest office is in Mumbai, and majority of the employee base sits at Mumbai, the headquarter. What are they regulator of? I will talk about that in the morning. So when and how did they get established? They came into existence in 1988, in April on to April 12th, 1988 is when SEBI came into existence, but that time it came into existence as a non-statutory body. Okay, so Government of India formed it as a non-statutory body. However, after the 1991 crisis and how the financial markets then we started developing, and other important aspects, some events, economic events that took place, and the financial markets also needed to be strengthened. In 1992, exactly 4 years after, on April 12th, 1992, SEBI Act came into being, and SEBI became a statutory body drawing its powers from the SEBI Act of 1992. So that is how SEBI came into being, first starting as a non-statutory body and then moving on to become a statutory body under the SEBI Act 1992. So Act, if you have to remember, 1992. In case factual questions are asked from you, 1988 is the existence date, but statutory powers 1992, that is the year how it happened. Now, what is the objective of setting up SEBI? Why was SEBI set up? Majorly, if we also read the preamble, okay, so when any organization comes through an act, the act always has a preamble, which is the core, which is defining the very purpose of why that act has come into being. So that preamble is giving you the three most important principal objectives for which SEBI came into being. The first one being to protect the interests of the investors in the securities market. So when we are investing, when people invest in securities, and most commonly when we are talking about securities, then people think of it as shares, right? But shares is one of the securities. This is not the only security, right? There can be bonds, there can be debentures, there can be mutual fund units, right? There can be security receipts. So there are various securities that have developed over the years. For a layman, for the first elementary thing that comes to our mind is equity shares. So yes, that does form a very big chunk of the securities in our country, right? So to protect the interests of the investors, right? So the investors, people like you and me, or even institutional investors or big corporate investors, or retail or individual investors, so all kinds of investors should be at par. Okay, nobody should have any kind of advantage over the other. Okay, and your interests are protected so that you can, an investor, that means any kind of investor, has a fair chance of investing in the securities and gaining from them, or take the right decision. That is one of the primary functions, one of the primary objectives of SEBI. So it's a very tedious task. It is not easy, as simple as it sounds. You may think it is so easy to have the rules and everybody to implement, but to ensure that nobody is taking advantage or is in a favorable position is a huge task when we come to execute it. So that is one of the primary functions. If I talk about the other functions, another important function is the development of securities market. Now, what do we mean by development? Now, you can, if today you are investing, say if I may take a name of a platform, say Zerodha is there, right? It becomes so easy for a retail investor to just punch in 2-3 numbers, okay, choose the security that they want to invest in, whether it is a bond or not, and then click a button and then invest. Okay, or if I talk about, say, the ASBA process, you may have heard about the ASBA process, right? So if you are investing in an IPO, right, it is as easy as, initially if we had to invest in IPO, there used to be forms, we had to go to certain kind of brokers, and then take a form from them, fill it up, and then submit it, and then wait, give them the money, give them the check, and then wait for allotment to happen. And in case that allotment didn't happen, then we had to wait for so many days and months for our money to come back in that case. But when ASBA was introduced, it has become so simple that your money actually doesn't go away from your bank at all. It is just kept as a blocked money. You are not able to use it, but it remains with you. So you are not under the pressure or anxiety that will my money come back, is everything safe or not. Your money is there, you can see it. It is just that you will not be able to use for some days till the allotment process closes, and that window has also reduced. We used from months to days, from 12 days to 6 days, and today to 3 days is the entire process of allotment that takes place. So that is development. Today, if RBI introduce, say, sovereign gold bonds, okay, going to a bank to buy them is not the only way that you require. You can actually trade them through your broker, through an online platform. So that is how simple, how easy it has become. Information time in reaching you through the various channels has reduced. The dependence on brokers has reduced. For information, information is available to you at a click of a button. So all these processes, and if I even talk about the demat system, now it has been made compulsory. Some of these words that I am using may look alien to you, but I'm talking about how easy things have become. Maybe you can ask your parents' generation, if they used to invest, they would put a stamp on the share certificate and then post it if they had to sell the shares. Today, you don't need to do any such thing. So all that is actually a part of development of securities market. How easy, how more and more features are added to it. And the last is to regulate the securities market. So development and regulation are different aspects. Development is adding more and more features, making it more and more convenient, increasing the scope in a sense that various kind of investors can come in and easily take benefit of the securities market. All kind of people who want to invest, and also different kind of people who want to raise money. Say, for example, we have separate stock exchanges for SMEs. Okay, we have SEBI has now also facilitated startups to raise money through securities market and through the market. So all that is also development, not just from the investor's point of view, but also from the point of view of various people who want to raise money, right? So all that is also development. And when I'm talking about regulation, it is different because when the participants increase, okay, when different participants are increasing and we are bringing in niche players like say startups or SMEs who are also coming to the market who may be new, it is very important to have proper regulation that nothing untoward happens. Okay, you have the right guidelines in place, everybody is at the same footing to compete with other. There is no insider trading, any kind of possibility of insider trading happening, right? So all these aspects are related to regulations, right? So these are the three primary objectives which are also given under the preamble of SEBI. I hope this you've been able to understand exactly what SEBI is doing, and whatever they do have implications on the entire financial system per se. So it's very, very important for SEBI also to work in coordination with other regulators, whether it be RBI, with PFRDA, with IRDA, right? And therefore, there we also have an FSDC. And that's the another entity created by the government under the finance ministry to help coordination between the various regulators per se also, right? So that is how our entire financial system is engaged and made. We will also come out with a session related to a very recent news in this week in the BPDA. You may have read about the account aggregators, and SEBI also joining the account aggregators, RBI's account aggregator system. Okay, so that is how interlinkages happen. We will come up with a session related to that to show how different systems are developed and how both the regulators or different regulators help each other and become part of it to make the financial system as a whole smooth for you in the country. Right. So let's now move on to further details. For your preparation per se, this Teachers' Day we are launching and starting with a 100 days live class schedule. You will be able to download that PDF from the description box. In addition to these, before the Teachers' Day from 31st August to 3rd of September, I will also hold 4 special sessions for non-finance students specifically. Everybody is welcome, but non-finance students I will be focusing more on to help you understand the importance and how to study, so that that fear of studying certain subjects which are there in your SEBI grade A exam, like your accounts, your costing and companies act, how to make you comfortable so that you can prepare at par, okay, with any other candidate. As such, I don't believe that there is any advantage or disadvantage. However, some students do have this phobia or misunderstanding. So I will be there to personally guide you during these 4 days about your preparation for certain finance related subjects which you may be scared of, right? So do take advantage of this aspect. Moving on to what now SEBI is regulating. Like we said, they are regulating the securities market. Now securities market is very big, plus it has different kind of entities within the market that help in the smooth functioning of the securities market, right? So these are some of them. There could be many more, like I mentioned in the last one, but these are majority of the entities which SEBI is regulating, starting with the stock exchanges, right? The NSE, National Stock Exchange, or the Bombay Stock Exchange. These are the 2 largest national level stock exchanges in India. There is one more, MSEI, Metropolitan Stock Exchange of India. So these are the 3 national level stock exchanges. So stock exchanges in themselves are not statutory bodies themselves. They are exchanges that facilitate the trading of securities on their platform. Okay, so they are regulated by SEBI. If I move on to the next one, commodity exchanges. So commodity markets in India are also regulated by SEBI since 2015. Before 2015, it was FMC, which was merged with SEBI after a scandal that had happened that time. Maybe I'll talk about that scandal in some other session, not today. So since 2015, the responsibility of regulating the commodity exchanges also moved to SEBI. So today, all the commodity exchanges, the largest being NCX for various non-agriculture commodities, and if I talk about the agriculture commodities, NCDX is the largest commodity exchange. So these are the largest ones in our country, which are again regulated by SEBI. Then we have the depositories. We have two depositories in our country, NSDL and CDSL, and both of these together are called the depositories. The various entities that link us an investor with the depository, they are known as the depository participants. So this entire structure of entities are also regulated by SEBI. So depositories and depository participants, they are the ones who help us to maintain our demat accounts in which we can keep our securities in a dematerialized, non-physical, digital kind of a format. So that is these entities. Then there are the clearing corporations. Now clearing corporations are the ones that help settle the trades that we carry out on the stock exchanges. So they are also regulated. So you can see, one single trade you do on the stock exchange, but there are many entities behind that are working for it, right? It's only the stock exchange you are seeing, but there is a role of the depositories, because the securities that you buy, they have to move from one account to the other. Okay, and these are known as the demat accounts, and these are maintained with the depositories with the help of the depository participants. Then there are the clearing corporations who actually clear your trade and help in the settlement of the trade of the securities and the money being exchanged without any default risk happening. So in the background, there are a lot of entities that are working for the smooth trade function that you carry out in seconds. Okay, then there are other kind of vehicles that help you invest, like the mutual funds. Okay, mutual funds, they pool in money of different people and help and then invest on your behalf in various schemes to help generate wealth for you. Collective investment schemes are also similar in nature. Alternative investment funds again are similar in nature, but instead of pooling money from retail investors, they are pooling money of large investors, and they may take various formats. For example, the more common terminologies you might have heard about are hedge funds, venture capital funds, private equity funds. They are also different types of alternate investment funds. Okay, some other types include infrastructure investment trust or real estate investment trust. I've mentioned them separately because they have come out as newer ones, and they have certain separate rules and guidelines given by SEBI. So they all are different alternative investment funds. Some may have a focused area in which they are investing, and some may have different type of investors from which they are pooling in money, and therefore they have different names. Then we have the foreign portfolio investors, the FPIs, or even the older name FIIs is still sometimes used to denote. That is actually same thing as FPIs. So these are also regulated by SEBI. So one thing that you have to remember, FPIs is regulated by SEBI. However, FDI, foreign direct investment, is by the government in collaboration with RBI. So the rules related to FDI investment are given by the government in collaboration with RBI, because FEMA Act is something that RBI takes care of, and FDI investments come under that. Okay, so that is different. Okay, so FDI and FPI are different, you have to remember that. Then there are credit rating agencies. Okay, credit rating agencies who are rating the corporates or the corporate borrowers. Okay, they are regulated by SEBI. However, there's another entity, CIC. You may have heard about this terminology in the last monetary policy by RBI. Okay, CIC stands for Credit Information Companies. Now these are companies, they are not rating, but they are providing information related to the credit history and the credit profile of individuals. Now these are regulated by RBI. Okay, so these are small differences, but they will help you a long way in understanding how things are structured and how they are moving. And apart from these, there are various other market intermediaries that are working in the securities market, like your stockbrokers are there, investment managers are there, merchant bankers, investment bankers, registrars, transfer agents, research analysts, robo-advisors, underwriters, you know. So there are a lot of intermediaries that are working in the securities market, and all of them are also regulated and need to be registered by SEBI. So if you can see, you know, these end up in being thousands and thousands of entities that RBI is regulating. So you can understand the amount of work and the responsibility that rests on the shoulders of SEBI, and it is a relatively very young regulator in that aspect. Okay, before I move on, I will just take a look at the chat for certain queries, or if any queries have come there. Okay, Nitish, promotional aspect, I think you were adding in terms of the development and the promotion aspect of the securities market. Okay, so Harish, you don't really need to mug up theories. Incorrect approach, understand the theories. Okay, and of course we will be covering these in our live sessions also. They are there in our videos also to help you understand. So the approach should always be to understand. If you will understand, you will not need to mug up. That is an incorrect approach. Harish, yes, in some sessions we will be discussing previous year papers also, for all the subjects, paper 2 basically, for SEBI. Okay, my voice is breaking. I hope it is audible to all now. Okay, so I am moving on now, talking about the powers of SEBI. Where is SEBI getting all of these powers, right? So these powers of SEBI, SEBI is a very unique institution in terms of the type of powers it gets from the SEBI Act, and these powers of course are given to it through the SEBI Act, when it was constituted as a statutory body, and it does function as a quasi-legislative, a quasi-judicial, and a quasi-executive body. And when I talk about these powers, basically what they mean is, quasi-legislative powers basically gives us the power to draft regulation in its own legislative capacity. So SEBI, when we are talking about corporates and securities market, there is a lot of information and the rules and the act that is giving this information through the Companies Act, right? But in addition to what the Companies Act says, SEBI, as the regulator for the securities market and in its quasi-legislative powers, drafts its own regulations also in respect of various areas. For example, they will have the ICDR regulations, okay, issue of capital and disclosure requirements, which is talking about how the entities, how the companies, how the various corporates or borrowers can raise money from the capital markets, right? So what all rules they have to follow, what are the different formats or ways through which they can follow. Okay, they can come up with, for example, IPO can be there, FPO can be there, private placement can be there, right? So and what are the rules that they have to follow while doing that? Rights issue can be there. So there are various ways, and these are mentioned in the Companies Act also. When SEBI gives these regulations, they are complying, they are telling the other guidelines or the compliances that the entities need to follow if they are going for these various way to raise money from the markets. Because as a protector for investors, and whenever if you're asking money from the public, you need to follow certain guidelines to ensure there is transparency to ensure there are fair disclosures and to ensure that the investors have been informed correctly before they take a decision to give their money to a certain type of corporate. When we are talking about the executive powers, they conduct investigation and enforcement action in its executive capacity. So they're not just making regulations, they're ensuring that they are being complied with, and if required, they can conduct investigations. Also, say for example, when the ILFS crisis happened and it was found why the credit rating agencies were giving AAA rating and then still there was a default happening. So they had investigated into the working of the credit rating agencies to find out what happened, why it went wrong, and then came out with further guidelines to be followed and all. So they can investigate and they can even enforce action. So they can levy penalties and all. Maybe in newspaper many times you're reading that this particular entity has got so much fine or penalty being slapped by SEBI and they have to pay for it. So they are able to enforce action also. And judicial powers also as actually that only, they are passing rulings and giving orders, right? So judicial powers SEBI has, and that's why SEBI also has a very big and growing legal department. Over the last 3 recruitments, the legal department recruitments have also been very, very steady and increasing. So judicial powers, and that's why they have a very big legal department which they need to keep adding people to. If you want to know more about it, you can see our legal channel also. And we recently in this year 2022 we have done detailed sessions across 5 sessions almost we have done with the person who got AIR 1, All India rank 1 from the SEBI legal post. So you can watch those sessions also on our legal channel. Okay, so those were the powers. Now let me talk about the SEBI's board composition. Who is running the show in SEBI? Of course, there are a lot of employees, but at the top, the board, the SEBI's board, who all is there in that? We have the chairperson at the top, who is nominated by the Union Government of India. As of now, the chairperson, you can write the name. I'm sure you all know it, but still for my curiosity sake, you can write it in the comments box who is the current chairperson of SEBI. Then there are 2 members from the finance ministry who are there, and then there is 1 member, part-time member from the Reserve Bank of India also. So as I said, SEBI and RBI work very, very closely with each other because they both are responsible for the financial system and they are heading the biggest aspects of the financial system, one the banking and the other the financial markets. So they work in collaboration with each other, and therefore 1 member from RBI is also there as a part-time member on SEBI's board. And then we can have up to 5 members again who are nominated by the government, and out of them at least 3 needs to be the whole time members. Okay, so this is as per the SEBI Act how the composition of the SEBI board needs to be. Okay, is my voice better now? If anybody can confirm. Okay, Harish, quasi means semi, half, because देखो absolute judicial, if I give an example, the judiciary powers in our country lies with our judiciary system, which consists of headed by the Supreme Court, then goes down to high courts, so the entire judicial system. So when I talk about quasi, it means semi. They also have the powers to give out rules and regulations. So if any rulings or any orders of SEBI have to be challenged, right, they don't need to go through the lower courts. Okay, if they have to be challenged, there is a SAT, the appellate tribunal where it can be challenged, and even after that they need to be challenged, then they straight away go to the Supreme Court. So there's running like a separate system. So that is what we say quasi. They will still be under the judiciary, but they still at a lower level, they have the powers to give certain rulings and all. Yes, all of you are correct. Madhvi Puri Buch, Miss Madhvi Puri Buch is the current chairperson, right? So let's have a look at the current board, okay? So the current board, as all of you rightly said, Miss Madhvi Puri Buch is the chairperson. You know, the unique things about her is she's the first female chairperson at SEBI. So before this, you know, we always referred to as chairman. So now we've started moving the terminology to chairperson, and I think that is across, irrespective of who is heading, we should start using that terminology as chairperson. She is also the first female to come from the first chairperson to come from the private sector to head SEBI. Before this, we have always had some government officials or IAS officers who have been heading SEBI, right? So a very dynamic and a very vibrant personality heading SEBI as of now. We have the 3 whole-time members. So the SEBI Act says there can be 5, out of which at least 3 should be whole-time members. So this we are complying with that aspect. SEBI is complying with that aspect. There are 3 whole-time members as of now: Mr. S.K. Mohanty, Mr. Anand Barua, and Mr. Ashwini Bhatia, who are the whole-time members. And if I talk about the other, the Act also said that we need to have 2 government officials from the Finance Ministry, and we need to have 1 representation from the RBI. So for that, we have 2 official government members who are the part-time members. They are IAS officers, Mr. Ajay Seth, who is the Secretary at the Department of Economic Affairs, and Mr. Rajesh Verma, who is the Secretary at the Ministry of Corporate Affairs. And from RBI, we have one of our Deputy Governors, Mr. M. Rajeshwar Rao, who represents RBI on the SEBI board as a part-time member. So this is the current board of SEBI, right? Now where will you fit in? If you give the SEBI Grade A officer exam and you qualify it and you become a SEBI Grade officer, where do you fit in? You fit in on this pyramid here. You join at the assistant manager. This is where SEBI does the recruitment. You can rise up to grade B, which is the manager level. Then you can become the assistant manager level, which is the C grade. Then D grade is the deputy general manager, then general manager, chief general manager, and then the executive directors. The positions of above this, which is becoming whole-time members or even chairperson, these are filled by the government. As we mentioned, the union government, the central government provides them on a contractual basis. These are appointed. So the board that you saw here is all these whole-time members, and the chairperson are chosen and appointed. Of course, there are deliberations and consultations, and we invite nominations, but the final decision is done by the government. You can also know, we have done, so these are information that we are giving you. We have also had a lot of expert sessions, very, very enriching and very detailed sessions with 2 very prominent personalities. Ms. Dr. Sharath Malik, who has been a CGM at SEBI. From him, he's discussed about various departments and how the life of a SEBI officer and how you can grow in this organization. And we did another session with Mr. RadhaKrishnan Nair, who is an ex-former executive director at SEBI. Again, he gave a beautiful, picture of how the financial markets, various regulators work in tandem with each other. They ensure the smooth functioning of the financial markets from all angles, and how SEBI functions and plays an important role. So both of them are beautiful sessions, very enriching sessions. If you've missed them and not seen them before, I recommend, if you are really interested in this job and making a career, not just getting this job, but making a career at SEBI, you should definitely watch both of these sessions. You will find the link in the description box to both of them. Dr. Lele, thanks for the appreciation. Yes, for your current salary of SEBI Grade A, I'm glad you asked this. Today itself in the afternoon, we have done in previously also, and today again we will upload a session related to the latest salary for SEBI and how you get the other perks and benefits also, which add to your salary overall CTC, right? So don't forget to subscribe to the channel, press the bell icon, so you will get an update about that. Right. So Dr. Lele, if you think कि ये सब organization जाने के बाद भी समझ आ जाएगा, that is true. See, nothing stops you from learning after also. लेकिन अगर आप पहले से जानते होगे, आपका comfort level एक different ही होगा about the organization, and the seriousness with which you prepare. You should know what you are aiming for. You should know where what you are wanting. अगर आपको पता ही नहीं है, आप बस इसलिए चाह रहे हैं सेबी में जाना क्योंकि दुनिया कहती है कि सेबी में जाना चाहिए, आई थिंक वो आपका मोटिव नहीं होना चाहिए. आपका खुद एक मोटिव होना चाहिए कि आप क्यों जाना चाहते हैं. अगर आप जाना चाहते हैं तो आपको पता होना चाहिए ना कि आप किस चीज़ के लिए ड्रीम कर रहे हैं. Right, so that is the purpose, Dr. Lele. Absolutely, learning and never stops. आप organization में जाओगे उसके बाद भी आपको बहुत सारी चीज़ें नहीं पता चलेंगी. It shouldn't be like कि आपको जाने के बाद पता चल रहा है कि सेबी क्या करता है, and then you think अरे ये तो मेरे को चाहिए ही नहीं था. It shouldn't be like that. It should be an informed decision. And SEBI अगर इतनी मेहनत कर रहा है कि you should take an informed decision, I think you should, as a your career also, you should take an informed decision. Okay, so Harish, yes, we will be covering Companies Act and all the other subjects in detail in our 100-day plan. About how to prepare for costing. All these sessions, Priyanshu, Harish, Companies Act, costing, finance, हम करेंगे. And जो मैंने आपको sessions के बारे में बताया कि I will be personally doing sessions related to Companies Act, costing and accounts. These three subjects majorly before we start our 100 days plan. That is also there. हरीश, एज लिमिट के लिए, एलिजिबिलिटी के लिए मैंने सेपरेट सेशन किया है. वी विल टेक दोज क्वेरीज देयर. ओके, सो मूविंग ऑन, who should apply now? Okay, so maybe Dr. Lele, this helps you here. Who should apply? अगर आपको इकोनॉमी एंड फाइनेंशियल मार्केट्स में रियली इंटरेस्ट है एंड आप उसको इनसाइड आउटसाइड समझना चाहते हैं, दिस इज द बेस्ट प्लेस to know it all, to understand it all, and to get that challenging and dynamic work profile. आपको बोरियत नहीं होगी, आप बोर नहीं होगे एक ही तरीके का काम कर रहे हो, because there's so much to learn. Even if your particular role for few months, few years is in a particular department, your doors are not shut to the amount of knowledge you can gain by being in SEBI. It is a professional environment. Being a part of the overall government sector, it is run very very professionally, and अब तो head भी एक private sector से आई है, so it's a very professional work environment. So even people who have good, I have seen over the years, so many of my students are now have a very great and a very well-paying careers in the private sector, and they are preparing for SEBI because they know they will continue to get the same professional environment and work at the top of the financial markets in the country. There's a lot of dignity and respect in being a SEBI officer. And in addition, what you get in tangible form is a great salary and perks. In a nutshell, if I tell you, it is approximately, including all your perks and perquisites, it's approximately 2 lakh per month. How that adds up to 2 lakh per month, we will have a session today in the afternoon where you will be able to see how the salary adds up to that amount. Okay, so that is what is there. Our sessions at iExamB, we always focus on unfolding your own potential, making better use of your time so that you are preparing 50% faster by knowing your own potential and learning at a faster speed. Our courses as of now are available at a 47% flat discount. You can use the code YARI, and these are at the old rates. Our revised rates will be applicable from the 1st of September. So you can avail of this benefit if you are interested in preparing for SEBI 2023. I hope this has been a useful session for you. Don't forget to subscribe, as I said, and press the bell icon so that you know when are the next sessions happening. So that's all for today. Please enjoy and have a nice day. So Harish, to answer that question of yours, as I said, the nominations are put in. Madhavi Puri-Buch, she has, yes, somebody's mentioned in between. Yes, she was in ICICI before. Shreya had mentioned that. And she has also been with SEBI. She was with SEBI as a whole-time member before with our previous chairperson, Mr. Ajay Tyagi, and so she has worked there. And then nominations are, so it is not a compulsion that the chairperson has to be a bureaucrat or an IS officer. Right, so we say private sector because she has had a major part of her career at ICICI Bank, but she has previously also worked with SEBI as a whole-time member. Okay, thanks everybody. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, press the bell icon.